But there are also signs that a whole lot of Republican voters are still mulling at least a potential alternative to Trump. Consider, even if the current Iowa polls are in the ballpark, if you look at it holistically, about 46% of these Republican activists who know Trump well by now are mulling other candidates, even after Trump being president. Same with New Hampshire's primary voting pool, which does lean more independent. And that's just in Republican primaries right now. In a general election, a whopping 58% say they'd be dissatisfied if Trump is the nominee. That's bad, a major hurdle, even apart from those trials we mentioned. Now, that same poll found a very similar 56% equally dissatisfied if Biden's the nominee. But it's hard to square the Beltway talk of Trump's supposed resilience or dominance with the actual views of voters. Indeed, it's kind of funny if you think about the Trump and Biden example. We hear a lot more sometimes about a kind of a disaffected, uninterested view of Biden when him and Trump have similar numbers on that same question I just showed you. Now, Trump is benefiting from a splintered opposition, which he also benefited from in 2016. Remember, he got the nomination only after a long fight in a large field. In the end, he polled still less than half of all Republicans who voted in those primaries. It was about 45% total, or, as you see there, about 14 million votes. He also lost 13 states, even to someone, and I say this respectfully and diplomatically, a politician who's not known for his popularity, Senator Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz is your projected winner of the Iowa First in the Nation caucuses.
Trump underperformed the polls and expectations.
We finished second, and I want to tell you something. I'm just honored.
Former Vice President Joe Biden will win Pennsylvania and Nevada, putting him over the 270 electoral votes he needs to become the 46th president of the United States.
A little bit of history. Now, these results show the limits, at least, of some polls. They are, of course, part of the picture because it's part of the process. Now, Jen, you were, of course, working in the Iowa caucus 20 years ago this month.
Hard to believe.
It's a fact. And from there, of course, to your White House work to now your work here. So we're going to turn to you.
Right. So, look, as Ari says, you just said, polls can be imperfect, but they also tell you a lot. And the latest NBC News Des Moines Register poll does show Trump at 48% compared to Nikki Haley at 20%, which is, of course, a jump for her. She's now above Ron DeSantis, which is a contrast to December. Ron DeSantis is at 16%. And while these numbers do show Haley in second place for the first time, as I just said, they also show what looks to be a big enthusiasm gap among her supporters. A massive 40-point enthusiasm gap, actually, in terms of excitement Trump supporters have, very enthusiastic for him, 49% have for him, and Haley supporters have for her, which is more like 9%, according to this poll. And while DeSantis is close behind in the overall number, actually has a higher enthusiasm number, his numbers show he's been moving in the wrong direction. That's not what you want in terms of momentum, in a state that he has basically staked his campaign on. But as any political observer worth their salt knows, including those who did caucuses 20 years ago, and again for Obama back in 2008, there are a range of factors that go into determining the outcome. And we're watching all of them, especially when the pool of voters in Iowa caucuses and the pool of likely voters is so small, and the temperature is below freezing. It's not really a matter of whether or not Trump wins. I mean, a Trump loss here would be shocking. But for the other candidates, a second-place finish is kind of a win for any of them. At a minimum, it gives them a rationale for keeping their campaign going on to New Hampshire and South Carolina, Nevada, Super Tuesday even. It also gives them a rationale for coalescing support from the candidates who drop out. They'll at least make the pitch to them that they are the one to take on Trump. It's also important to remember that we are technically just at the beginning here. Votes are happening in the caucus tonight. Iowa isn't historically the final decider of who the nominee will be. Only 3 presidents since 1972 won their Iowa caucuses. Jimmy Carter in 1976, Barack Obama in 2008, I was there for that one, and George W. Bush in 2000. And there are a few Iowa losers who went on to win. Ronald Reagan in 1980, George H.W. Bush in 1988, and, of course, Donald Trump in 2006. And specifically on the Republican side, it may be losing importance because the last 3 eventual GOP nominees all lost the Iowa caucuses. And Trump hasn't exactly spent a lot of time and energy himself in the state, even if his organization is improved from the last time.
Take it all together, though, tonight. And the one tradition that can still redeem this Iowa experiment from the cold to some of the other absurdities, is that a small state that hosts grassroots campaigning, like all those county visits Jen was just walking us through, can still empower people to try to break the stranglehold of big money, big polling, which you heard me criticize tonight, and big Beltway predictions, which are so often wrong, you wonder why they get paid for them. That means take it all together, and you can still, sometimes, on the ground, get an upset.
I thought we'd come in first or second. I was hoping to come in first. I do. But to come in 2-1 ahead of the next candidate was a very gratifying thing.
Game on. Thank you so much, Iowa.
Iowa, I love you. I love you.
God bless the great state of Iowa.
In this election, we are ready to believe again. Thank you, Iowa.
Thank you, Iowa. A lot of those people were counted out. I think you know the last one.
I know that guy. I worked for him for about 10 years. I mean, 250,000 people turned out to caucus for the year that Barack Obama won the caucus, which is a huge number. So even as we talk about numbers tonight, it's important to put things in perspective.